friends. This is a vaping video for what it's worth, so if you don't vape, then you probably won't be interested in it. So there's my disclaimer. I wanted to make a quick video to talk about my year in vaping for what it's worth for people who may be interested in vaping or quitting smoking, because smoking is such a horrible habit. We all know it. And when you smoke, you know you can vape, but it doesn't mean you're going to. That addiction to the smoking action, is a very crucial component of it. And a lot of folks seem to think that nicotine is the culprit, but we know by chewing gum and taking patches that nicotine doesn't cut it. There's more to it. There's the smoking aspect of it. And so I started vaping. Now about a year ago I bought, I have several different types of vaping units and a whole box of stuff in here. It's ridiculous. And when I first started vaping, I tried those little standard cigarette type ones, and then I moved on to these. And these are they go on the end, on the battery. But you can buy these tips for $1 each online. You can buy a 10-pack for like $10. And when you first start out, they're a great way, for that smoking action. What they call the mouth-to-lung inhale, which is the standard smoker's inhale. And when you move on a little farther, you end up running into the heavier units. Well, first I bought one of these they're just kind of a standard upgrade, but looking back on these, they're just crap, because now that I've moved on to this unit. Now, I'm doing this because I feel like all the vaping videos out there are elitist and trendy, as if the people who are talking about vaping, I'm not a judgmental person, and I understand that there's different groups that are interested in things. It just seems like every guy with a black hat and a black t-shirt is blowing clouds, and it seems to be like there are the people who vape, who used to smoke and vape because they don't want to smoke anymore. And then there are the vapors who take it to the competitive level. And so when I go to the vape shop to buy my stuff, it's the funniest thing, because I had this tank for about a year. I've been using it. It's an Arctic tank. I don't know, it holds maybe 4 milliliters. It's a great little unit, and it works well. You can order these now on eBay for like $11-12 each for this whole unit. And they have the standard coil inside there, the replaceable coil. You can build these if you want to get down and dirty. I have dozens of these little coils saved, the little atomizers, and you can actually unscrew them, pull out the wadding, and put in your own cotton. But it just seems like a waste of time. So that's why I'm kind of doing this video, because I went from the disposable to what they call an RTA. And the difference is between an RDA and an RTA is the RDA is a rebuildable drip atomizer. Those are the ones that people drip directly onto the cloth through the top and then inhale for a while. And when it runs dry, you add more. The RDAs are good for competitive people who want to drip a whole bunch on there and blow huge clouds. So I wanted something that was middle ground. So I got an RTA, and that's a rebuildable tank atomizer. So inside this one, this is a Griffin. I bought it the other day. It's a Griffin 25. And the thing was the most expensive one in the shop, and I treated myself to it because I have been vaping for a year now. I haven't smoked, and I told myself after a year I was going to reward myself with a new unit. I'm still using this old battery pack, which these take batteries, but I have several different types of batteries actually. I have these Imren ones, and it gets confusing after a while because people don't when you start vaping, you see all these different devices and different batteries and options, and it's almost daunting to try to find something that works for you. Now this one inside has what they call a Clapton coil, and that's a rebuildable coil that you can, well, I'm not going to try to take it apart because anybody can just Google Clapton coil. But it's where you basically take a guitar string and you wrap the other string around it to make it a thicker string, guitar string looking type, and then you put that in there. You put the cotton through that spring, and that wicks up the the juice, and you vape it. It's a simple thing, except for a person who's just starting vaping. This is not the kind of unit you want to get. This is not going to be like smoking at all. This will be more like, well, vaping. And the thing about these is you almost want to hold it down for a second to, I mean, they have like preheated coil settings on these things and stuff. People have them to where they're always at a certain temperature and they're very particular. Some of these new devices have like settings on them where you can adjust like everything. It's unbelievable. And it even becomes more complex with the fact that there's a bottom flow valve, there's a top flow air valve, and there's also another valve on the inside which allows the juice to get into the wick. And you have to keep all these adjusted properly, as well as your power level and your voltage in your coil. So this one I love. It's just perfect. I think that one of the keys to vaping, one of the things that people are looking for is a good flavor. And those little pens in the smaller units don't seem to give the right flavor. If you want to get the very best flavor out of your vape juice, of course you go to, people go to the drip tanks, because apparently they get the best flavor. Obviously you're adding it right to it. I find these are much more useful because then I don't have to fuck around with dripping stuff on there. I can just carry it with me. And this holds like 5 milliliters or something in this tank, so it's a good tank. You don't have to spend a lot of money though on it. And I've also heard people talk about how the nicotine's a problem. They want to break the nicotine addiction, and I'm surprised how many people are not aware that there's non-nicotine juice. And that's one of the advantages to vaping through an RTA unit, or you're adding your own fluid, is that you can adjust your juice level. You can go from a 24 milligram nicotine, which is a heavy duty, down to 18, then down to 12, down to 6, and then down to 3, and then 0. And I order 0 nic online on eBay. You pay like $10 for a 120 milliliter box or bottle, and it's a lot. And then I can just add the 24 milligram flavors to it to give it the nicotine. And of course you can make your own juice and flavors too. But I think that this is probably the favorite unit that I've had yet. It's awesome. It's so smooth. The flavor is just so awesome. When I say vaping, it seems silly to make a video about vaping to me, but at the same time, those who vape understand the passion behind having a habit that can fulfill an older one. And no, it's a replacement for an old habit, but it's much less dangerous, in my opinion. And in the future, vaping may very well, there are a lot of debates on whether or not the custard flavors contain certain diketones, I believe they're called, which can be harmful if inhaled. And there's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts about this, but one thing I know for a fact is that within 2 weeks of starting to vape, my lungs cleared out, and I'm completely clear, and that's a huge thing for a smoker. It was one of those things that held me down for so long. So I just wanted to share my experience and talk a little bit about vaping. So take care, everybody.